Herkese merhabalar tekrar. Şimdiki oturumumuzda Codeo kurucu
Hi
ortağı
there, everybody. Codeo co-founder Tolgay Hıçkıran is going to be with us, and he's going to be talking about how we can start the Unity journey of us. And every month he's with us anyway, so we're going to be hosting him again. Welcome, Tolgay. How are you? I am fine. What about you? I am doing good as well. So once you're ready, you can start. Okay, let me just share my screen. Well, friends, in the last two presentations, I mean, for 2 minutes, I just would like to explain about us. What are we doing in Turkey? Actually, we as a company have two partners. My partner is a machinery engineer. I am an industrial engineer. We've got a team of 11, and we developed actually third-party softwares on Autodesk or else Unity. I wanted to share you a few examples as to what we do. Our biggest partnerships is with Unity and Autodesk in that respect. We do training entrances, and I am a Unity certified instructor both in Europe and in Middle East, and sometimes in the United States we give trainings, especially Unity. We give custom trainings to Unity customers. This is all from us. I think that this introduction is sufficient. So now I would like to talk about the extraction tool of Unity and what we can do. This is actually a 40-hour training. Only a part of this 40-hour training, we as Unity, we've got trainings that we prepare, which we offer to our international customers. And actually, we have started receiving requests from Turkey as well. And the trainings are prepared by Unity. And we sometimes deliver inputs to this content. And we have started preparing training content for Unity now. So people in this company do deliver input to content. We're working in a different region because we come from production sector, friends, and not hyper casual, but business to business. We are a kind of a company that works business to business. Supposing that you have decided and you say that, okay, on VR, for instance, you want to do a development. This could be about training, an application, or else a game. But what do you have to do? We don't have any idea, for instance. The first thing that you can do, this is free of charge totally, which I would like to show you, learn.unity.com. Each time, I show this to you, just to remind you, I would like to show you once again with Oculus and Unity, they have prepared jointly a content which lasts for 20 minutes, 20 hours. We are enabling VR. Okay, so here there is a lengthy introduction. For instance, a ready project with your Google Oculus Quest. You don't not be an Oculus Quest. You can use Mac HMDs. I mean, without Google's actually, you can design a project, or else you can use the Googles of other companies. I mostly explain over Oculus because in Turkey, they are more convenient. It is one of the Googles which are conveniently priced. The only problem is that they don't have technical support in Turkey, but you can purchase it. We've got different Googles, but mostly we work on Oculus. So supposing that you've received some sort of information and you've got a certain application idea and you want to kickstart. Now here, one of the LTS is I'm going to start actually preparing a project. There was 3.4, it was released last week, I haven't downloaded. So what you have to do once you start working on VR, your product, are you going to use with a cable or else wireless? I mean, do you want to use this mobile or else non-mobile way? So let me just show you my current setup. I've got this. I've got an anchor cable, and I've got a, even though I've got a link cable, unfortunately I don't have a USB port, and in the new card that I have purchased, we don't have it. So my anchor cable, which is 1.8 meter long cable, I get connected to my computer. And while doing this, of course, on Oculus, you have to download the application of Oculus, which is around about 10 gigabytes. So before starting this process, you have to do a preparation. You've got the goggles, you are connected with your cable to the computer, and your computer has got should have a certain infrastructure, screen card and CPU have to be powerful, and this is how you can start. So things get really easy, smooth. I mean, if you've got enough hardware infrastructure, the rest is not much of a problem. All what you have to decide is, while doing a development, you will be using a cable. You have to adjust it like this in order to do the development much appropriately. But once you complete your job, the output are, do you want to deliver it to mobile Android or as PC VR? You have to decide on that. So I'm going to be explaining things on concerning PC VR, but of course, there are companies that develop, like Rock Studios, for instance. We are in touch with them. They're a good company. Actually, there are plenty of companies, actually, but I'm talking about game developers. So you have to select a template in the very first place. HDRP, you can do the development, or else with only PC. With URP, you can do both mobile and PC. With 3D template, you can do mobile and PC. So now let me just open up one from a 3D template. And there is this empty project, XR Interaction Toolkit. Still, it is a kit which is being experimented, which is, I mean, you may have to do certain developments inside. It may have certain bugs inside. You have to take all these into account. Okay, so now let me just enlarge this space. Okay, so first of all, in order to be able to work with these toolkits, you have to do a few actions. When you open up your project, first of all, you go to project settings, and from project settings, you go to XR plugin management, and then you download the plugin management. If you have downloaded before, as it is going to be in the cache, it will going to import it. If you haven't downloaded, first of all, it is going to download, and then to cache, and then to your Power project. And then based on the Google tab that you're using, as this is XR, it has also augmented reality, Google's mixed magic, you're going to be using one of these. I will be using Oculus, for instance. Initialize excellent startup. You have to click on that. If you do not, once you click on the play button, automatically it won't open up your heads-up display. So Unity, if you get connected to your PC with a cable, senses your PR goggles, and based on it, when you click on play, directly it actually starts operating the application. So this is a preliminary action that we do. Oculus I have selected. In general, actually, we use multi-pass rendering. A single pass instance is not a good option. It's still there, but maybe in the upcoming improvements, it will be better. So onwards, I go to package manager, and first of all, of course, as I said, this is an experimental package, and in order to be able to see the experimental package, you have to open the preview packages. I'm using 2023 and 19. Actually, you see it's different in 2020. It is in project, you can go to project settings in order to view it. So Unity Interaction Toolkit, I am able to see it when I log on to Unity register. So when I type toolkit, the only thing that appears is this. Let me just close all these. I'm going to be downloading it, version 1.0.0. It is the first version. It is, I mean, we've come to the release. This is version preview, release previews. I mean, recently, Toolkit is going to be production ready. I mean, in a excuse me, in a really short period of time. It is. I used to use 0.9. That's why I'm still on experiment. Excuse me for that. And this new system uses the new input system of Unity that was the previous warning about. I mean, Unity normal input system was not used. Okay, so now that is the situation. Unity warns me to restart the program. That is what I do now. Right away, I restart the program. So I wanted to fetch my packages again so that we be sure that the packages are out here, and then we'll start the production. In project, okay, XR plugin management is what we have uploaded, downloaded, and XR Interaction Toolkit. If we want, some of the samples we can download it from here. In general, within packages, there are certain examples, and we can download them from here. Okay, so we've got an empty stage, a play. I mean, as if we are going to be using a normal Unity, we're going to be using this plugin. First of all, friends, once we download this Interaction Toolkit, the game objects that we can produce increase in number. When I click on write and when I go to XR, normally there is only one different content that we used to see, but because I've uploaded the toolkit, I am now able to have many different contents. So what do they explain? Like, for instance, the VR Google that you will be using will have 3 degrees of freedom or a 6 degrees of freedom, which means the goggles which are manufactured in a 3-dimensional area, they enable you to move, and in a 3-dimensional area, it enables you to rotate, and also it enables you to achieve an elevation, which is 6 freedom. The previous goggles, when it comes to your movement ability, it didn't used to give much of a room. But with the new generation goggles, movement, rotation, and elevation perception is achieved really well. So these new generation goggles, the advantage is that some people, for instance, like nausea effect, for instance, or as vertigo effect, takes place a long time. I mean, physically, you have an advantage with the new generation goggles, and they use gyroscope. They have acceleration sensors on the product, and in telephone technology, we already have these. I mean, it was really convenient, easy to have them, tailor them on these devices. There is this room scaling, which is when it comes to Oculus or else Vive, the area that you line, it takes it as a reference and enables you to use that space. I mean, on your actual software, the size of the room, you can use it. This is a different feature. Or else,
or you can come up with an application that you organize, as you said. So there are different possibilities, but these are basically the things we will be using. Device-based, which I will use here, room scale, XR8. Key stationary, if you have chosen that, you will see the tracking origin mode. It was going to be the device then. So tracking origin is as such. If you move, it tracks you. If you don't, then it is to do with the device being stationary. So
herhangi bir lokomosyonu yapmadan doğru düzgün fiziksel olarak lokomosyondan bahsediyorum. Bunu yapmadan
Not making any physical movement, you can change locations or relocate because it perceives that through the device. And here I can see that my main camera is gone. It's now a camera offset. So the camera offset is the distance in between you and the floor. And we have to calculate that distance because camera is supposed to be placed where your eyes are, and the distance to the floor is to be calculated. So here I will be creating a floor, and I will be resetting the original. I'll enlarge this. I don't know why, but this is too white. I'll be changing its color. So I'll come up with a material folder. Here I'll be coming up with a more grayish color for the floor. Here I just want to give it a try to see if I'm connected or not. So here I'm at Rift. So Oculus is now connected to my computer because I'm in the Rift interface, not Oculus Quest interface. So when I hit play, now it has loaded it up, and I can see the raycasts of my remote controller. So these were not looking that beautifully in the previous version or edition. Now they're better. So now I have connected my Googles with this rig, and this is the first phase. So my Googles are now working in Unity. And the next time I can show you an image from the stage so that you can see how the camera moves live. And when you come up with the XR rig, there are some other things you can change. One of them is the controllers themselves. So we have two controllers. We can increase the number, one on the left, the other on the right. So there could be some ideas to increase the number of the controllers. We saw the raycasts when I took the controller, the remote, at hand, but sometimes you might be needing to create an interaction and not see the controller. For example, you want to pull the object towards you, you can do it over a raycast or directly. Therefore, these are called interactors, these controllers, these remote controllers. Here, XR Ray Interactor script. So when you add it to a game object, then it these will be the scripts that define the interactive controllers. So the first one is the R interactor, and the other one is the direct interactor. So the direct one is not showing an array, but makes it possible for you to use the controller directly using your hand manually. And depending on the clicks, you can disable one, and then maybe you can go to ray or turn off ray. Just assume that you're going to a game object, so you can get access to it either in that script or the other. So you can use your controller manually or like array. So I will be setting some other simple things. Here we see a controller, a device-based controller. We can also define the node, left hand, right hand, and you can also input what those buttons will be for.
Dolayısıyla mesela select usage demiş grip.
It
Yani böyle
says
grip
select
aktivasyonunu
usage grip,
seçmiş oluyorum.
so I
Aktivasyon
will
trigger
have it
UI
selected.
olsa UI'da
Activation
tanımlamış
usage
trigger
or
var.
UI press, then I will
Benzer
have
şekilde
to
mesela
click on
atıyorum
trigger.
1.9.9'da
Similarly, in
elektrikler panelini
0.9,
ayarlamıştı. İyi ki
we
tek
didn't
bastığı
have
zaman
this, but now they have added
rotasyon yapabilmeniz
because I
için
have
grafiğiniz
manually coded it
Codio'da
before.
şu
But for you to be able
parametreyi
to
koyacaksınız
make
ki
a rotation,
işte
this one, the
PlayStation 4
primary 2D axis, this is something we know from our PlayStation years. So primary axis to the left,
Oculus
this is
Controller'da
called.
sadece
And in
press
Oculus
yok.
controller, you don't only have a
Siz
press, but you
uygulamalı
also have
dokunmayı
touch.
algılıyor
So
konsola.
when you touch, it
Dolayısıyla aslında
will sense
inputları
your
sadece
touch.
basmak değil,
So your inputs
thumb
will
press
not
ondan sonra
only
step var.
be
Bunlar da
pressing,
programlama
but thumb
programlama
press,
kısmına geçerseniz eğer
thumb press, or
epey
touching.
detaylı bir
So
dokümantasyon
when
var.
you go to the
Programda
programming
yine
site, you
oradan da
will see that
bakabilirsiniz.
there is a
Bu
great
kısımları geçtikten sonra size bir de
documentation
burada
of
soruyor.
that in Presser.
Burada
So here, after
mode
that,
var.
you
Sizin
will
mode'unuz nedir?
be also seeing the mode.
Aynısı da olabilir.
The
Oculus'un
model,
kendi sitesinden
it
download
can be the
edebilirsiniz bu
same. You
modeli.
can download it
Başka bir şey
from
kullanabilirsiniz.
Oculus's
Yani
kit,
mesela
or you can
şimdi
use something else. Let me
bir tane
do
kapsül
that.
koyalım buraya.
For example, a capsule. Let's add in
Kapsüle de
a capsule.
tabii bu kadar büyük bir kapsül olmasın. Mesela
Maybe not that much of a
bir
big capsule.
controller'ın boyutu yaklaşık 8
A
santim civarında.
controller is about 8
Yani 10
centimeters
santim
in
falan.
size, or maybe
Ortalama.
10,
Dolayısıyla
so it's around there.
şuradan bir 10 santimlik kapsül üreteyim ben.
Let me produce a capsule of
Kapsülümü ürettim
10
arkadaşlar. Bir
centimeters.
tane
So
prefabs diye folder açayım.
I will
Kapsül
be
prefab yazayım.
creating a folder called prefabs. So
Temizleme yapacağım.
I have now
Dediğim gibi
prefabbed it and
code yapalım.
removed the capsule. And now,
Yapamadık. Heh.
okay,
Buradaki model
now
prefab'e
it's done.
UI'da bu kapsülü
Model
seçiyorum.
prefab, I add
Ekranıza
this
veriyorum.
capsule left and right. So let us see now if it has been input.
Ha, sanıyorum eklenmemiş. Eklenmek
I
yerine
guess it has not.
kapsül bambaşka bir yerde çıktı. Neyse.
The capsule turned out to be
Garip.
completely somewhere else. There's something weird about it now.
Kapsüle tekrar gidelim.
I'll go back to the capsule.
10 santim yaptık kapsülümüzü. Object değil.
We created it as big as 10
Tekrar bakalım.
centimeters, not bigger. Let me see again.
Kapsülde bir sorunumuz çıkardı. Evet.
So there's a problem about this capsule. I'll be skipping that part. I don't have an idea why it has turned out to be as such. I explain you how it normally should flow. So it should show up in the place where the controllers are. It's very simple indeed, but let's continue. Let me remove this also. After you set the controllers, well, before that, let's come up with some interactions, very simple. And I'll show you how we can add events. First, I'll be creating some cubes. Let's call one grab,
Grab olsun.
and the other one also grab,
İlk önce
grab
basit bir
socket.
tane
So first,
enter'den
I'll be showing you a very simple interaction.
gelsin bu arkadaşta.
Let me move it up here, and this guy over here on the left.
Öncelikle en basit
Here you
enter'den
can see the simplest interactions. This is where my camera is headed towards. It faces
kameram
this
görüyor.
side. So
Şimdi bir interactable yapmanız için arkadaşlar
For you to be able to make an object interactable, you have to add a script.
scriptimizin ismi
It's
Excel
very
Grab
simple. The
Interactable.
script is called Excel
Şimdi de
Grab
belli
Interactable.
değiştirebileceğimiz
There are also many options you can configure it. This is
Buradaki
why it is
bir
a toolkit.
kütüphanesini
Toolkit
gözüküyor.
is so Unity enlarges its own library so that you
Dolayısıyla
can
şimdi
minimally
baktığımız zaman
write codes.
mesela
And
isterseniz
here, if
Grab Interactable'ı
interested,
ki Grab Interactable'ın birden fazla
over Grab Interactable.
birden fazla
By the way, in
kullanıcı olduğunu
Grab
düşünün.
Interactables, there could be
Şöyle olası
more
olarak
than
düşüneceksiniz.
one
Kapı
point of
tasarladınız
grabbing
diyelim ki. Kapının
um,
koluyla
spots.
interaksiyonluyorsunuz
Let's say you're
diyelim.
designing
Kapının kolunda
a door
kapı
handle
ve
and want to interact
kolaydır
with
olabilir.
that door
Kapının
handle.
kendisi başka
So there
bir
could be
şey olabilir.
one point, a
Burada
collider
dolayısıyla kolay
on the
dediğimiz
handle itself, or the door itself can also be collided.
object
So game objects,
collider'ları
not necessarily game objects, but you can line up colliders.
movement tipini
Following that,
değiştirebiliyorsunuz.
you can change the
Velocity
movement
tracking,
type,
kinematic,
velocity tracking, kinematic,
Bunlar neyi fark ediyor
instantaneous.
derseniz şunda fark ediyor.
What is the difference?
Sizin
If you ask me, let me
interaksiyon
say
gösterdiğiniz objeyi
the object you are
elinizde
interacting
mesela
with.
sallayıp bir şey fırlatmak istiyorsanız
If you want to shake something and throw it away, then you have to do velocity tracking. Let's assume that you will be coming up with a baseball application and you will throw the ball, and it will be depending on the input you use, because speed, velocity are important momentum senses. That's why such things are always possible. Throw on, detach. So should it shake it or not? So it says also the velocity will be tracked if you go to throw on detach. So when you detach it, the velocity will be registered. And now let me show you how the interactive works through Interactable. Now I hold it in my hand, the controller, and maybe I will change its color later on. I don't know if it's too bright. I'll change it in a while. In a short while I'll do. So when I place the controller on an object without a script, the color doesn't change. However, when I place it on a scripted object, the color changes.
Grip tuşuyla beraber
And with the grip button, I can also grip it. By the way, I have to downsize it because it's too big. So the cube shows up in the periphery, but not in front of me directly. That's because there is a near and a far cut plane embedded in the camera. So clipping planes, here it's about a centimeter for near, and for far it's 1 kilometer. So it helps me see the objects within the distance of 1 centimeter to 1 kilometer. That's why I first need to downsize it. Let's scale it down to 15, and I will be changing this similarly.
Şimdi tekrar başlatayım çalışmaya. Bu da çok
Let me restart it.
Bakın aldım kümü.
So now I have the cube,
Aksisle yani 2D aksisle
and to the axis, through the axis, I can go to the left, right, and I can do the rotation manually, and I won't need an extra script for that. So there are some other scripts we write. If I hold it with the left, with the left, you can also rotate it towards the other side. So I can also move forward and backward, and you can see
bıraktığım zaman da gördüğünüz gibi düşmüş oluyor. Bunu gördüğünüz gibi bu şekilde
As you see,
atabiliyorum.
I can just drop it here. So the moment we started, it was really entertaining because it is really simple to do these things. So with this interactable, as you see, it's a really simple
atma, tutma, yapabilmek.
throwing, catching motion
Tabii bunu
I can do.
ben
Of course,
ben nasıl bir deneyim aldığımı şu an fark ediyorum çünkü gözlük gözüküyor
I
ama gözlük
have the goggles,
olmadığı zaman
but
veya
if
daha
you
önce
don't have
denediyseniz bunu hayal
the
etmek
goggles,
yaptığınız çok
or else if you haven't tried this
malayı
before, it's
olabilir.
really difficult for you to dream it and visage it. I mean, when I first had these goggles,
Bütün dünya
I just said, I mean, the whole world is going to change. Well, this is something perfect because it is really most of the other Googles were really poor bad until I used Oculus.
Yes, they have really created a very optimized system. And by the way, let me relocate this. I'll also change its colors so that we can perceive it clearly. So this one is grab interactable on the left, and the right one I'll be placing it into a socket.
alanımızda,
So
oynayabildiğimiz
in our
alanda
playing area, in this
belirli
space,
snap point'ler
we
yaratabiliriz. Şimdi
can
bir tane
create
öyle bir şey
some
yapacağım. Öncelikle
definitive
bir materyal
snap
değiştirmek istiyorum o zaman.
points. First of all, I would like to change the material a little bit,
Şuradan rengini değiştireceğim. Bunlar
and
birazcık
I'll
daha
be changing the color
göze
over here
hitap etsin diye.
so
Beyaz
that
seçili
it could be
kullanıyorum.
more catchy because white is almost invisible.
Şimdi ikincisini de aynı şekilde grab
And
interactable
now
yapacağım.
the second one, I'll be
Sadece
also
script
making it
yazacağım.
a grab interactable. I only add scripts, as you can see,
XR.
but XR, I go
Socket
to
interactable.
right click
Socket
XR
interactive yapacağım.
and socket
Şimdi
interactor.
socket
I'll be
interactable'ı
adding that,
taşımam gerekiyor.
and I have to relocate this
Bu
socket
socket
interactor.
interactive
Let
dediğimiz
me
ne
locate
arkadaşlar?
it somewhere close. So
Şu
this
etrafında
socket
gördüğünüz kolaydır.
interactor,
Önemli olan kolaydır. Bu kolaydıra bir şey geldiğinde
the green one is a collider. So
bunu
when
yakalayacak.
something comes to the collider, it will
Bunun
be
da yerini kaybetmemek adına şöyle bir şey yapacağım ben. Bir tane canvas
recognizing that,
açacağım buraya.
and I'll be placing a canvas over here,
Bu canvas'ın da altına bir tane TMP koyacağım.
and under that canvas I'll be adding a TLMP,
Ve bunun bir soket olduğunu yazıyoruz.
and I'll be writing over that it is a socket.
Her zaman VR çalıştığınızda
And
screen space
when
değil,
you
world
are
space olacak ve
working
sizin
VR,
testleriniz
it will be always
tasarruf
world
kaldığınızda
space, not
ve
screen
işlemlerinizi
space, and you have to
hazırladığınızda
attach your
sonrasında
main
ürettiğiniz
camera over here. Do not forget
sizin
that.
canvas'ınız
So your canvas,
epey büyük olacak tabii. Bunu da
it will
küçültmeniz
be
gerekecek.
pretty much big, so
Ve
you have to
pozisyonunu
scale it
reset
down.
edeceğim ki
And then I'll be
canvas
resetting the
buraya geri
position
gelsin.
so that the canvas
Şimdi
will
TMP
come back
yapacağız.
over here.
Bu da çok
And
büyük.
TMB, let's also
Çok büyük.
downsize it a little bit because it's too big.
1 metreye 1 metre.
TMP. Let's make it 1 by 1 meters.
Ve bu arkadaşın yerini değiştireceğim.
Here I'll be also relocating this
Canvas'ta
guy.
socket interactor'ın altına
Canvas. I'll be placing it under socket interactor. I'll be resetting it again.
pozisyonunu resetlemek gene sıfıra değil daha doğrusu.
So maybe I should just
Canvas'ımıza
zero
gönderdikten
it,
sonra
the
artık
position.
benim
So when the
dosyalarımı
canvas is sent to 0, I can now type a text here. The font size, of course,
veya
I'll have
scale
to
oluşturacağım. Bu da mantıklı.
scale it down, or maybe I can even type a
Font
0.5,
size yapalım mesela.
maybe even 0.2 in the scale.
Şöyle bir tekstim olsun.
And here is a
Arkasına bir
text,
tekst yazmasın tabii. Snap yaz.
and let me
Dolayısıyla
say
ben
snap,
snap diye
not
gördüğüm
new
yer
text.
neredeyse
So
aynı
the
yerde.
space that
Birazcık daha
the position
şöyle geriye koyayım.
that it
Interaction
is
Toolkit'in
almost the same.
hafifçe önünde.
So it
Biz zaten
is slightly in front of the interactor.
bir deneyelim bakalım.
And you will see what I will do. Let's now give it a try to see if it runs properly or not.
Takip bu açılmış. Şimdi aldım.
Here now, I grab it.
UI'm nereye gitti?
Where's my UI?
UI'm gözükmüyor.
I cannot see my UI.
Rengini bir değiştirelim şunu.
Let me change its color.
Okey. Şimdi snap noktasının aşağı yukarı orada olduğunu biliyorum dolayısıyla.
I know that the snap point is approximately there,
Bakın.
somewhere over here.
Zaten
So when I go to the snap point,
gösterimde bulunuyor bana.
it shows a preview.
Buraya yapışacağını söylüyor.
So it says this game object will get
Tekrar çekebilir miyim? Çekebilirim. Şimdi
labeled there.
sonra bunu soracağım sana.
So can I pull it back? Yes, of course I can pull it back once it sticks. But can we change it? Yes, of course we can. So these are the snaps, and there are some lines
Daha herhangi bir şekilde
as such.
locomotion falan anlatmadım.
So
Zaman
locomotion, I haven't even touched on locomotion because this is a very small part of a 40-hour
bir sonraki
training.
soru şu olacak.
And the next question will be, our grabber, as you know, it pulls the object from a certain distance. Can we remove that? Yes, of course. You can go to the left hand. Here you can have some different features for different controllers.
Şimdi şurada force grab diye bir özelliğine var.
Here, there's this feature called force grab. It zeroes, it nullifies the distance. So I will be
Bu boolean dolayısıyla. Basit. Bakın force grab kapalıyken
resetting.
alıyor.
When the force grab is off, it picks it where it is, from where it is. So it almost flies the sky, and now it fell.
Yani
Sometimes such things happen.
bakanlar
I have a very thin plane
hesaplayamayacağını
layer. Physically, it cannot maybe calculate, and it folds down, goes behind. If I have a thicker plane layer, maybe it won't. But in prototypes, these are very common things to experience. So this is a force grab, another aspect of it.
şunlardan da bahsedelim biraz.
And other than that, maybe
Ray
I can talk about these. Reinteractor.
yapabiliyoruz Interactor'da.
You can do some actions, some movements with this interactor. Maybe you can send a haptic event. Here we are on the left hand, but let's go to the right hand, and when my right hand is clicked, I go to the haptic events. So when I come down to the haptic events, I can say on hover entered. In Raycast, I have a grabbable object.
Objenin raycast yani benim raycast'im bir grab objeye geldiği zaman
When my raycast is cast on an object,
sonra
you can say on hover
vermek istediğini söylüyor. Mesela ben
entered, and then it asks you what the intensity would be. So the maximum is 1, and I can send an haptic event with an intensity of 0.341
sağ kontrolü
second of duration. So I did it with the left, with the right, sorry, handle,
bunu tabii
and
çok zor ama
it's difficult to show this, but the raycast, when it turns white,
controller'ına
my controller,
dolayısıyla
it will send a vibration to the controller.
veya kapat
These vibrations also can be done very simply, very easily. And I can also send an audio event when I enter. If I had an audio clip, I could have chosen it.
bir işte
And whenever I could do it, maybe a ring audio would play. So you can program those as you wish, and the interactor has its own events. You can also code them. You can send down an audio event. These are rather more pre-programmed, but down you can write the script yourself. So a script that will work within the event, and you can have it do anything. Rather than only haptic events or audio, you can have it do another thing, anything you wish. What else? Let me think. So if I can show you something else in this introduction section, maybe you have some questions. Is there anyone who has used Excel toolkit before? Maybe I can get some questions if you wish. And after that, you need to come up, you need to create a teleportation area and adapt a locomotion system and use one or both of your controllers, add a teleportation to them so you can teleport to any location you want. And you can also snap and rotate and make such movements. There's some reasons for that. Snaps and teleportations have been created only in time because as long as people continue using headsets,
Bizim şu ana kadar düşündüğümüz tipteki inputlarla işte WASD ve mouse
the
hareketi gibi şu
inputs like
destekleyici
WASD or mousepad, when you attempt to play it as such, people get really extremely disturbed. You have to really give it a try yourself. When you go to Oculus Portal, generally speaking, the games are here listed according to their level of difficulty. It's not only to do with the game, but it's also about how uh, it will be forcing one's body. Beat Saber, Beat Saber, for example, it says comfortable. It's a very good game, by the way. It makes you sweat a lot, but it's a very good game. If you are not playing it, you miss out on a lot. Maybe not everyone has the chance to afford Beat Saber, but it's always for the best to save some money and play it. It's a game that can even change your life. And let me see, maybe Project Cars is the otherwise. It's not comfortable, but it's intense because it's a race. There's always a movement.
bu konularda. Bazı interaksiyonlar kesinlikle
So some interactions are really challenging. Jumping, climbing upstairs.
bir alanda mesela şunu deneyin kesin. Bir asansör üretip
Definitely give it a try.
asansörün kapısı açık
Create an
bir şekilde
elevator
çalışıyor. Sonra
and
asansörün kapısı
move the
kapanıyor ve siz
elevator when
asansörle
the
hareket
door of
ediyorsunuz.
the elevator is
Artı
open,
olarak
and also move it
VR
when
ortamında.
the door is closed.
Dolayısıyla
So in
mesela şu tarz bir
VR
aksiyon
environment,
karşısında
the
olduğu zaman
perception is
eski
really
VR ortamdaki
different.
geliştiriciler
So the developers in
görüntülerin
VR
kalitesini sağlamaya
environments,
çalışıyordu mesela.
we
Bu tarz
try
şeyler
to
oluyor.
make sure that these are not
Geliştirme
visualized.
ekiplerinin
So there are some fine
hızlı
things
geliştirmişler
as
şeyleri.
such, so you can figure it out
Benim anlatacaklarım
along
bu
the
kadar.
path as you move ahead.
Evet.
So
Ee,
this is all I have to
Umut ama
say.
ben bir şeyi merak ettiğim için sormak
There are
istiyorum.
no
Bu
questions, but
ya VR
I
oyunlarda birçok
am
farklı
curious
yürüme
about
mekaniği
something.
görüyorum.
In
Mesela
VR
işte
games, we see
ışınlanma gibi
many
kimisi
different walking
normal yürüme
mechanisms.
gibi
Some are beamed
değişik formlarla
and some
geliyor.
regular
Mesela
walking.
motion sickness
So,
olan mide
motion
bulantısı şeyini
sickness
engellemek için
to
en
prevent
uygun ne tür
that,
otomatikler
what
kullanılabilir?
could
Motion
be
sickness'ı en
the
üst
best
moda
option?
çeken olasılık
So, locomotion
teleportlamak
teleportation
ve
is
snap
the
turn.
best option for that,
Özellikle
and snap
başka
turn.
snap turn dışında
So, other than
böyle
snap
smooth
turn,
turn'lar kesinlikle insanların
smooth
midesini
turns
çalıştıran
really make
şeye
people
sahip,
feel
etkiye sahip. Dolayısıyla
motion sick.
kumandadan mesela
So,
işte
from the
sol
controller,
şeritte 15
when you
15
go to
derecede
2D, the
45
main
derecede
stick,
dönüşler
40
daha
or
rahat etmesini
30
sağlıyor insanı.
degree
Ya o zaten
turns
ilginç
help people
bağlantısı.
feel more
Verinin aktarım
comfortable.
hızından dolayı
Yes, that
yaşanıyor çoğunlukla.
feeling of
Ondan
sickness
sonra bu
is to
açıklamaya
do
ne
with
kadar
the
yakınız acaba?
transfer of
Hakkında bilginiz var mı
fast
gerçekten? Mesela
as data.
en son şeyi
Uh,
deneme şansım oldu benim daha
I
küçük
have
yaşımda.
had the chance to try
Satranç
Dart
oynuyor musun mesela?
Raider,
Işınlanma
Raider
mekaniğini
Star
kullanmıştım
Wars
girerken.
game. So they use
Normalde
this
oyunun
teleportation
üstünü buluyorum
mechanism,
çoğunluk
but
olarak.
somehow
Bir deney olarak
it helps.
geçiyorum ben o
It
oyunda. Ama işte ışınlanıyorsun, sadece
it
ışın kılıcını
breaks the
kullanabiliyorsun.
spell, let me say, of the game. So you use the beam
çok
sword, the
yetenekli
light sword,
stüdyolar
but
var bunu yapabilen.
uh,
Şöyle tasarlıyorlar
somehow
oyunları.
it
Siz
doesn't
odanızı
do
mesela
that trick.
çiziyorsunuz.
So let
Odanızı
me
çiziyorsunuz.
show you an example. You draw your
Sizin bu
room
çizdiğiniz odanın yapısına
elsewhere
göre
out of
prosedürel olarak buraya
Oculus. So
bunlar
depending
tasarlanıyor.
on the structure of this room,
Yani
it
siz atıyorum
procedurally
burasındasınız. Buranın
designs
duvarları
levels.
oluşuyor.
Let's say you're here
Siz
and
hareket
here
etmeye
are
başladığınız
some
zaman zaten
walls, and as you
yani bir
start
alanınızda
moving,
hareket edebildiğiniz
you already are
sanki
able
bu
to
oyunun
move
o bölümündeymiş gibi
within your
hissettiriyor
space,
ve
so it
belli bir
makes you
şekilde
feel
yönünüzü hani
like you
yerinizi
are
değiştirip
in
başka bir
that
hareket
spot of the game,
yaptırmıyor oyun size.
and it doesn't allow you to do any
Hani
other
bu
movement
tarz
that
mesela
will
oyunlar var.
remove you
Muhtemelen
from your own
zaman
space.
içinde bu tarz
So there are
transformasyonları
such
görmeye devam
games.
edeceğiz.
Probably in time
Bu
we
mesela
will
müthiş bir
see
tasarım.
applications
Ya
similar
da
to that. So
şöyle
this is
kullanıyorlar.
actually a great
Benden
solution for this.
sabitlemeli o
Or
360
maybe
derece
they
Evet beyler.
use that
Aynen. Ama
360
tabii onun
treadmills fixed on
Abi
one's
sığmıyor.
waist.
Eve ne zaman
Yes,
alınacak?
but these are
yani
extremely
onun için evde ayrı bir
expensive.
oda gibi bir şey
Yes,
lazım.
also you
Aynen
will
öyle.
probably have to um,
Aynen öyle. Dolayısıyla
need
hani
a
bu
separate
tarz
room
çalışan stüdyolar
at
var
home
tabii.
for
Ya
it.
da en
Yes,
güvenli
there may
yolu
be some
başka bir
studios
yol demek
working
stealth
specifically for that,
dediğinde
or
işte şeyler
maybe
yapmak,
the safest
manipülasyonlar
way is
yapmak.
not to move
Onlarda da işte
and do come up
zıplama,
with some
atlama, bu tarz
applications based
interaksiyonlara
on
önem veriyor. İşte
stand
merdiven çıkma
mode,
kesinlikle olmuyor.
not
Veya asansör
jumping or
tipinde şeyler olmuyor.
climbing upstairs,
Operasyonlar
going
olmuyor.
upstairs,
Bunlar kaçamak
or
olarak. Ama şöyle
elevators.
söyleyeyim, ben
So
kimse
these are
öğretmedim
maybe some
platformları ve
events
ben çok garipsedim insanlar
that
bunu
you
mesela
rather
kullanmasını.
avoid.
Ama yani
I do not feel
ilk
sick,
götürüşleri insanlar
motion
oluyor.
sick,
Ya beni
but
zaten
yes,
normalde
there are
aklım tutuyor.
people
VR'da da çok
who really
oynayamıyorum oyun.
Evet.
feel really, really bad.
Yani bir tık o
And
konuda
I also
şey falan
very frequently get car
oyun
sick,
konsollarını
so when I'm
bırakabiliyorum genel
playing
olarak.
such games, it
Bayağı
really affects me.
yapamaz. Karda
I don't
yapabiliyorum
remember
ama
the
işte
name of one
gerçekten
game I played, but it
onu bir
was
dakika
skiing.
oynayamadım yani.
So it
Yani
really
ben mesela
uh,
şey diyorum.
pushed me so
En
hard I
işte
couldn't play it even
en
for
hızlı roller coaster'ın
5 minutes.
en böyle mide bulandırıcı şeyi yapmışımdır
Yes,
diyen bir insanım. Genelde o yüzden böyle
me, I'm
alerjim
the
var
otherwise. I
sevmiyorum.
go to
Ama yani onu da
amusement parks and try the
gerçekten
most
olsaymış o da
challenging roller
o
coasters.
iyi yiyebilen insanlardan da
So
daha
maybe for
Abi
some
bilmiyorum, ona
people
biraz karşı
it can help.
çıkabilirim çünkü roller coaster'larda mesela
Yes, in
şey
roller
limitin yok.
coasters, I don't have a
Büyük
limit.
ihtimalle ya
Uh,
gözlükten dolayı oluyor diye düşünüyorum. Yani
and
VR'ı
probably it's
giymişken mesela.
because
Bir tane
of the
sorumuz
headsets, the
geldi.
VR
Limit'i
itself.
sanal
So
gerçeklik
there's this
seviyede hissettiriyorsun.
question
Hangi
about the
alanlarda
future
bunu
of
geliştirmeyi düşünüyorsun?
virtual
Ya da
reality,
bu alanlarla ilgili bir çalışmanız var mı
especially in
aklınızda?
what
tabii.
areas do you
Şimdi
think it will
şöyle artık gelecek
flourish?
falan diye bir şey yok bence
So
arkadaşlar.
generally
Şu an
speaking,
burada
we do not
çok
have
net
anything
hani
called the future
şey gibi anlatmıyorum.
any longer. It's
İşte bak
already
nereye
here. The
gitti şunlar
future is
olacak.
here.
Hayır. Şu an
It's
insanlar
not
şöyle
like
düşünüyorlar.
this and that will
Aşırı
be
mesela eğitimsiz,
taking
hani
place in the
eğitim
future.
tarafından gelen insanlar olarak bunu
But
daha rahat söyleyebilirim
as
size.
people coming from the
Yüksek derecede
production
tehlikeli
side,
ortamlar,
I can
aşırı tehlikeli
maybe talk
özellikle
about
yine de
companies that
eğitim
have
ortamı olarak kesinlikle
a very
kullanılabilir.
hazardous
Şöyle
working
bakıyorum.
environment,
İşte
such as the oil
nükleer santral.
refineries,
Yani
nuclear
mission
power
critical
plants.
olan
So those
yerlerde çalışan insanlara
critical
veriyorlar gözlüğü.
places,
Kafasına
workplaces, and for the
aşırı
people
yüksek
working there,
derecede
they give them the headsets, the
uluslararası
Googles,
aktivasyonlara
and they
sokuyorlar
come up
ve
with
bunu bu şekilde
applications
kullanıyorlar.
and have
Şu
very
an bunu
highly
kullanıyorlar.
sensitive simulations
Dolayısıyla
and use
hani
VR.
gerçekten böyle mission critical olan işte NASA olsun,
So basically,
ondan sonra
mission
havayla
critical
ilgili
places,
kurumlar işte
NASA,
havaalanları genelde havacılık
Airbus,
veya işte petrol
Boeing.
gibi bu
So
tarz
these
yerlerde
are rather about aviation
aktivasyon olarak
and
kullanıyorlar.
also in
İkincisi
oil,
şu an görüyoruz
petroleum
Amazon epey bir oyun üretiliyor.
sectors. We
Hatta
see
geçen yıl
that,
Oculus
and
eventinde belki
in
görmüşsünüzdür.
Oculus
Bazı eski oyunlar
event,
parmak değdirmeye başladı
maybe at that
Oculus
event,
Rift'te.
you
Tamamen
saw some old
değişmiş
games are
bazıları.
now totally
Mevcut
changed
yapıyor ekranlar
through
başında.
some interactions.
Dolayısıyla şey, gelecekte ne görüyorum? Şunu
Consequently,
görüyorum.
in the future,
Var çok iyi bir
what
şey.
do we see?
Bilmiyorum gördünüz mü daha
Varjo.
çok
I don't
yüksek
know if you have seen it, but
tutulmalar var.
Varjo, like
Gözlüklerin daha da
highly
küçülmesini yapıyor ve
consistent
dışarıya
headsets
da
will
izlenebilecek bir duruma gelmeleri.
downsize,
Yani
will
ne bir
become
HoloLens
smaller.
ne bir
It will be
full
neither a
kafamızda bir
HoloLens
şey
or a
koymak istiyorum.
full
Benim
VR
öngörüm.
Evet
headset,
abi,
but
evet evet.
something in between.
Tabii bir de
And it
terlemek
shouldn't
lazım.
make you sweat.
Aynen öyle.
Yes,
Yani
of course.
dolayısıyla böyle bir şey
That's
görüyorum ben.
what I
İkincisi
see.
de tabii bu şu an gördüğümüz
Secondly,
AR tipi gözlüklerin de muhtemelen
the AR
farklı
type headsets
çıkabilir.
maybe will be produced in
Sonrasında da zaten
forms of
IPEX-vari bir gözlüğe de
lenses.
gideceğiz muhtemelen. Yani işte
Probably then a utopia will
falan.
follow. Probably something will be placed in
Tolga
our
Bey, çok teşekkür ederiz
brain
katıldığınız
or
için.
whatsoever.
Yine sizi
Thank
göreceğiz
you very
muhtemelen ilerleyen
much,
etkinliklerimizde.
Tolgay, for being with us, for
Tekrar
having
karşılaşmak dileğiyle.
joined. We will probably see you at the next event. Thank you very much. See you. Thank you.